Okay.
And Carrie? I didn't do it. Well, I am wondering, because in Canada, one of the Remembrance Day traditions is the poem in Flanders Fields. And is that something in the U.S. as well?
I mentioned this earlier, like, there's no... I never, in my education, was taught anything about Veterans Day as I've heard it termed in the States. So, like, I know the poem in Flanders Fields, and I know what it is now. That's something I learned as an adult, not at any point in my schooling.
Yeah, I was also raised in the States, and I do not remember anything like that being as important. Like,
I moved
learned
around
a
to
whole
several
lot.
places. I lived in several different school districts, private and public, and it just was never a thing where I was.
Yeah,
It may have been for others.
in elementary school, aka primary school, I learned a lot about the history of California, and we actually had a day where we were encouraged to dress up as figures from California history, but nothing about Veterans Day as a whole. Not that I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Remembrance Day is wow, $1,111.11. Thank you, TPR Jones. Appreciate it. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, Remembrance Day specifically is more Commonwealth focused, and I think I feel like Veterans Day. Wait, is it Veterans Day today?
Yeah.
What's it? But Memorial Day
Memorial
Memorial
Day
Day.
is the
day.
bigger.
So Memorial Day memorializes those who died in foreign wars, and Veterans Day honors those who are veterans of foreign wars, is my understanding. But like, even that, I'm like kind of winging it because, again, not taught that, just kind of picked it up. So.
Okay.
It's so interesting. I find that because I'm old.
16.
You're 16. You're 16.
Yeah, I'm a bit older, and so it was a big deal when I was a kid in school, and I went to it's embarrassing, but I went to like 16 different schools, so we moved a lot, and in my generation, so in the early 70s, that's hard to say. It was a big, like, we had a half a day assembly where we had, veterans come in and tell their stories, and it was a big educational thing, and that it was the whole school that would go in, and you get like a week's worth of sort of historical before we ever got to it, and and I noticed even with my own kids that they didn't get near as much education around the behind part of it.
And I admit I'm part curious because I'm an Army brat, so I always grew up places that had Army bases. And as such, always had more commemoration because they would be bringing in military members from the community. They'd be bringing up the kids of serving members. So my experience of Remembrance Day as a kid, I didn't realize isn't the same necessarily as somebody who didn't live near a major military installation or, as large as they get in Canada.
My high school actually did something similar. It wasn't structured around one of the holidays, but I want to say during the springtime, they actually went out to the community and collected as many as possible. Veterans from, I think, every conflict that we basically have had.
Yeah.
And basically they divided us into groups, gave us a veteran, and then asked us to interview them and gather the story, do everything like that. I remember because since I was in advanced placement U.S. history at the time, basically it was, okay, you guys aren't going to do a full project because you have something else to do, but you do need to just write up like a biography of this guy. And we got lucky because we actually had a World War II bomber pilot. Funniest guy I've ever met. Dude was very humble about his experiences up to and including the time where he said, so I had to land a B-17 with like half my control shot out. It wasn't a big deal. And I'm like, is there more to this story? It's not that interesting, but do you guys want to hear it? yes, that sounds like a very interesting story. And then he's like, so yeah, I understand that you guys have to do like a paper or something. Yeah. Well, someone else did this biography of me, so you can just use that.
Wow.
He was a great guy, and for the life of me, I'm really sad I forgot his name because it was like a decade plus ago now.
Yeah.
Almost like, yeah, it's been almost 20 years.
It sounds like math, and I don't.
Yeah, we don't do math here. Math is not a thing we do.
Yeah. I learned about, like, usually the U.S. education system that I went through covered a lot of the founding of America and then jumped forward to, like, World War I and II. World War I as a prequel to World War II, and then that was the end of the school year. But by that point, we were well past November and not talking about Remembrance Day in the same way that, yeah.